Look guys, I understand that you were upset with my review of Alien Resurrection, especially when I called Joss Whedon a hack. I understand that he is very popular among people, even if he's not necessarily popular with myself. But you gotta look at it this way. Alien Resurrection is such a terrible movie that I had a hard time thinking straight when I watched the movie and when I reviewed it. Therefore, my review was not very good because it's just not a very good movie and it's hard to really do something justified when it was that bad. However, looking at it from my perspective, you guys had just flat out abandoned me when I was reviewing it and I needed you there for your support. How else can I make a review solid if I don't have help? So therefore, how about I'm willing to forgive you this time, and you help me out with Prometheus even though you have nothing to do with it.
Alan!
Awesome. All is forgiven. Welcome, I'm the Kaiju no Kami, and tonight I'm going to talk about the movie that kind of redeemed the Alien franchise, Prometheus.
Back in the early 2000s, Ridley Scott joined up with James Cameron to come up with some ideas for a fifth Alien movie. Ideas were tossed around, one of which dealt with the Space Jockey from the original film. Nothing solid ever came out of these ideas at the time, and Fox moved on to do a couple of spin-off films centered around the fan-favorite comic book franchise, Alien vs. Predator. 2 movies were produced under this banner before Ridley Scott came to the decision that he wanted to make a prequel to Alien. In time, this movie was deemed Prometheus, and it would be centered around the space jockeys he considered beforehand, only now to give them an official name, the Engineers. Scott's crew recreated the derelict spaceship, and he even invited H.R. Giger to work on the murals found in the chamber on the ship. Fox also launched a huge marketing campaign with various internet videos and commercials to promote the film.
Just having Ridley Scott back to direct the film already gave it a positive outlook. However, did the marketing campaign that Fox put this movie through in all of its height live up to it, or was it a bust? Well, let's watch to find out.
Our movie begins on a colorless planet, presumably a prehistoric Earth, where one of the engineers drinks a cup of vile liquid that disintegrates him.
Why? What is the method behind this madness? Well, this is going to be one of many questions this movie is going to ask and not actually answer.
Anyway, it is believed that this ended up causing the creation of man, and we are then taken to a futuristic Scotland where we meet our main players, Elizabeth Shaw,
named after the Doctor Who character,
and her husband Charlie Holloway. They are played by Girl with the Dragon Tattoo star Noomi Rapace and Logan Marshall Green. Here they discover cave paintings that show a star system, making Shaw believe the engineers wanted them to find them.
Same configuration. I mean, it's got to predate the others by millennia.
I think they want us to come and find them.
We then jump to everyone being on a ship called the Prometheus 2 years later. First, we are introduced to the incredible Michael Fassbender, who portrays David. David is a bored little robot.
This is what we're going to do. 1, 2, 3.
So here's a penny for your thoughts, a nickel for a kiss.
Who spends his days alone while everyone else is in cryosleep playing around and watching Lawrence of Arabia.
Very good movie. If you haven't seen it, check it out.
Well, what's the trick then?
The trick, William Potter, is not minding that it hurts.
The Prometheus arrives at his destination, waking up the ship's commander, Vickers, played by Charlize Theron. She orders David to wake everyone up, so he does.
Here's where things get a little frustrating. Remember Alien and Aliens when the crew were woken up from their sleep and we got to know a little bit about their personalities and their characters. They all interact with each other. In Alien, we learned that Brett and Parker were really not fond of everyone else, and they weren't fond of Brett and Parker. And in Aliens, we got to see the little bit of camaraderie between the Marines. Well, sadly, this movie has none of that. It's just a quick little dinner scene with some little blurbs. All we really learn is that every scientist in this universe is a supermodel, and everyone's kind of an asshole about it.
I ain't here to be your friend. I'm here to make money. You got that?
I can't wait till you die, dude.
About 100 credits is a terraforming survey.
Oh, if it's a survey, they would just tell us.
Why would you gather up a crew and not tell them what they were going to be doing ahead of time? In fact, why would these sports athletes want to go without being told what they were going to be going for?
I'm here to make money.
At least in Aliens, it was believable that they would go without being told because they're military personnel. They have to go where they are ordered without question, regardless of the reason. Here, it's just...
Shut up and get to the point!
I'm here to make money.
From here, the movie moves on to a debriefing scene.
My name is Peter Wayland. If you're watching it, you have reached...
What is wrong with the makeup in this scene? It's horrible.
What is our purpose?
Were the senior citizens of the Screen Actors Guild not available at this time?
Focusing back on the scene itself, we learn pretty much nothing we didn't already know.
These are ancient civilizations. The same pictogram showing men worshipping giant beings pointing to the stars was discovered at every last one of them.
Well, whatever. Afterwards, the crew lands on LV-223 and they head out to a strange mound.
Here is also the part where we start to really learn how much of a dick Holloway is.
David, why are you wearing a suit, man?
I was designed like this because you people are more comfortable interacting with your own kind.
Making you guys pretty close, huh?
I cannot wait for you to die as well.
This is just one small step for mankind.
Seriously?
Okay, I can kind of forgive you there because that was actually pretty funny.
Once inside the bunker, punk rocker scientist Fifield activates a bunch of orbs to map out the vicinity while they explore it. The group discovers a hole leading to another chamber and that the cavern is filled with oxygen.
Look at the CO2 levels. Outside, it's completely toxic, and in here, there's nothing. It's breathable.
They take off their helmets before proceeding further into the chambers below. David accidentally, or maybe purposely, activates a hologram recorder system that shows a bunch of creatures running with one of them being decapitated by a stone slab closing on it. Fifield and another scientist named Milburn freak out and leave the group to return to the ship.
As I don't really have anything to contribute in the gigantic dead body arena! I'm gonna go back to the ship.
Well, David opens the door up, which leads them into a strange chamber full of murals and canisters that start to bubble.
Sweating.
Shaw bags the fossilized head while David does the same to one of the canisters.
David, we are leaving!
Back on the ship, Shaw and David study the head, discovering what they were looking at was a helmet and that the head inside is still fresh.
Careful.
Like so.
It explodes when they try to study it. But Shaw discovers its DNA matches that of a human.
DNA. Match.
Oh my god.
In another area, Holloway pouts and takes his anger out on David.
Oh, alright, I almost forgot you're not a real boy, huh?
What do you hope to achieve by coming here?
Why they even made us in the first place.
Why do you think your people made me?
We made you because we could.
Who infects him with a drop of goo from the canister he brought aboard the ship.
Here's mud in your eye, pal.
Good health.
Well, Holloway does actually kind of deserve this one with the way he's been treating David. Although I really could do without the trailer speak.
Big things have small beginnings.
Yeah, there's one major problem with both this movie and in Alien Resurrection. Some of the dialogue feels like it is only in the movie just so that it could have been in the trailer. It just doesn't feel natural.
In this world, the waves are cool, the wind is breezy, and there is a lot of color. Big things have small beginnings. It's one small step for mankind. The Force is strong with this one. I don't know where I'm going with this, but he is evil. You should have killed me when you had the chance. What we have here is a time stream of infinite possibilities. Are you getting sick of dialogue that just fits a trailer? Because Houston, we have a problem. From here, we get treated to watching Shaw and Holloway make out along with Captain Yannick and Vickers?
You, robot.
My room. 10 minutes.
Where anywhere else in the movie was there any sort of hint that Vickers and Yannick had a thing for each other? I mean, I guess there was that one scene in the beginning when they woke up before they were debriefed, but there has been nothing to say these two have any sort of chemistry whatsoever. Why? Just another question that this movie gives you and doesn't answer.
Meanwhile, Fifield and Milburn are stranded inside the cave due to a storm outside and find themselves traveling in circles.
Walk around in circles, walk around in circles, walk around in circles, walk around there.
I don't know, kind of looks like...
What's that?
Okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Hey, baby.
Dude, don't touch that. You know, I'm starting to wonder if Wayland hired geniuses or the dumbest people on the planet for this expedition.
Either way, these two also get what they deserve.
Wheel of morality, turn, turn, turn. Tell us the lesson that we should learn. Moral number 2. And the moral of today's story is...
No shit.
The next day, Holloway stares at himself in the mirror.
Hey, Holloway, you've got a little something... Oh... Never mind.
Captain Yannick calls him and Shaw to join them on their trek to find Fifield and Milburn. David goes out to locate one of the orbs that Yannick believes is glitchy, only to discover a cargo hold and a bridge. The others find Milburn's body.
Oh my god.
In his esophagus.
This jump scare was brought to you by another trolling Ridley Scott moment. Holloway gets really sick, so everyone heads back to the Prometheus. There, they are greeted by Vickers, holding a flamethrower.
The hell is this?
I've seen Alien to know where this is going. Shaw wakes up in the medical bay and David informs her that she is 3 months pregnant.
Oh! Did I mention before that Shaw said she can't have kids? No? Well, she can't.
Justifiably so, she freaks out, so David has to put her down for a bit. She wakes up once more to discover some of the crew members are going to put her into cryosleep. So she beats them off and runs into Vickers' lifeboat, where she performs an abortion inside of the medical pod located there.
Ew. Lunch break.
You've all sacrificed so much to be here.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you had a good lunch. I love me some mini eggs. Where'd my Xenomorph buddy go? I know he said he had a lunch performance at some diner, but I thought he'd be back by now. Oh well, he'll join me when he does get back. So, where was I? Oh yeah, Shaw giving herself an abortion. Those must have been some really good drugs she's on, because she's not acting like she just had surgery at all.
Fifield returns. Afterwards, Shaw enters a room that has a recently awakened Waylon in it.
Oh great, the Bad Makeup Club returns.
Waylon takes her with him to the Engineer's Bridge, where David wakes up the lone survivor.
Xenomorphs teda, kuiva, on itam sa stater kreda.
After ripping David's head off, he kills everyone else except Shaw, who ran away just as the party got started. He activates his ship to take off while Shaw flees, not allowing her recent operation to affect her, and requests Yannick to stop it.
You have to stop it! We're not stopping anything, Shaw. We're going home.
Yannick, if you don't stop it, there won't be any home to go back to. It's carrying death, and it's headed for Earth.
Thus, Yannick launches Vickers and her lifeboat out of the Prometheus, which he and the remaining crew crashes into the Engineer's ship.
And matching her personality, we learn that Vickers can only go in one direction.
Fatality!
Shaw runs to the lifeboat to refill her oxygen levels, only to be greeted by two horrors.
Xenomorphs teda, kuiva, on itam sa stater kreda.
Escaping that, Shaw returns to the Engineer's ship to retrieve David, and the two of them fly out together on a different ship to find their homeworld, as Shaw wants the answers only a sequel can tell us.
What do you hope to achieve by going there?
They created us. Then they tried to kill us. They changed their minds. I deserve to know why.
My name is Elizabeth Shaw, and I'm still searching.
Thus bringing an end to Pro... Oh, you're back. So how was your lunch? Good? Awesome, what did you have? Japanese. Interesting, how was it? Moving on. Oh, wait, what's that? Oh, I forgot about the sequel bait scene in the credits? It's not like this movie wasn't already a giant tease for the sequel.
Seriously, this movie is so concerned with setting up the sequel that it forgot to be its own movie. This is the biggest issue Prometheus has and is what ultimately hurts it. All the characters present are nothing more than set pieces needed to get Shaw to where she needs to go in the end. None of their actions matter because this entire movie does not matter. I just don't understand what Ridley Scott was going for here, because there is so much depth and detail to be found that this could have been just as good as Alien, if not better. As is, it is just wasted potential. We are left with a million questions that do not have answers, and we are told we have to wait till the sequel to get those answers. That is not fair to the audience one bit. Worst of all, there is no guarantee the sequel will even try to answer those questions. For all we know, it could give us even more questions than to tell us to see the movie after it to get those answers too. Putting that aside, what the movie does have to offer is pretty enjoyable. It spends more time writing on the suspense and build up than it does on action scenes, which is very reminiscent of the original Alien. The concepts are so unique that it makes the entire premise interesting to sit through. Learning more about the engineers was a smart idea, and it feels fresh since it is not relying on the tired tropes to tell its story. The highlight character is hands down David, as he is the most interesting one among the entire group. Everyone else is so paper thin and and downright idiotic that it doesn't matter what they do or what they say, their point of view is as hollow as the mountain they were exploring. Rapace is a wonderful actress, but here she comes off as stiff and lifeless. Her decision to believe in these engineers should have been explored a lot deeper, because we are never really told why she is obsessed with finding them. What led her and Holloway to this point to begin with? The use of her faith is nothing more than a plot device to avoid having to actually come up with a reason why she feels the way she does. What motivates her? What motivated Holloway? Why does any of this matter? It is never answered. Idris Elba plays Yannick, and his talents are seriously wasted here as he is given nothing to work with, making one question why they even bothered to cast him in the first place. His only notable moment was when he sacrificed himself, but it was a moot decision since the engineer could have easily just hopped into another spaceship and flown off. Not to mention it was extremely cliche. Theron is just as robotic in her acting, and sometimes she looks as if she has a hard time speaking some of her lines as they come out jumbled, or she fumbles her body language. It makes you wonder if she really cared about the project at all, or if she was just doing this for a paycheck. If there is one area where I can most definitely praise Prometheus for though, it is in its effects work and set pieces. Outside of a few certain instances like the storm, nearly everything was actually there. The ships, the caverns, the hallways, all of it was a handmade piece. Very little CGI was used, making this one of the most impressive looking movies of the decade. The recreation of the bridge on the engineer's ship was a sight to behold, as if they had just transported the original set from Alien to the present day. The murals H.R. Giger painted for the chamber are equally as impressive, and it was so nice to know that he had a part in this film. It is tragic that he will never partake in any Alien movie again, as it was his works that helped make this franchise last these past 38 years. The designs of the engineers are quite good too, although they look a lot cooler with their elephant-like masks on over the regular Lex Luthor-like heads. The five-field zombie creature is... he's alright. I will admit, this is the one area where the CGI version actually looked a lot cooler as he looked more monstrous. On the other hand, I can appreciate the fact that Scott wanted to use an actual person instead of a CGI creature for this scene. So there's positives and negatives to this scene no matter which way you look at it. The Deacon and the squid creature that resembles a facehugger are pretty cool, at least for what they are. I mean, the Deacon is around for like 15 seconds, so I can't really say much about it. The same can be said for the facehugger, but you know what? It's actually a pretty cool design, and from my understanding, most of that was an actual puppet. Finally, the score was done by Mark Streitenfeld, who has worked with Scott in the past on movies like Gladiator and Body of Lies. His score works perfectly with its ominous tones the film is trying to present, while also giving us unsettling moments to keep us on the edge of our seats. I just love the sounds of discovery Streitenfeld has provided, be it this track, or this one. The music can get downright intense at times, and the movie is all the better for it. I honestly feel that this is one of those movies that would fail if the music failed.
In the end, Prometheus is a highly flawed movie that focused on setting up the sequel rather than being its own story. And that is ultimately where it fails. Although that doesn't necessarily make it a bad movie, as there is a lot to love here. It may not top Alien and Aliens, but it does try to do its own thing, and that is ultimately where it succeeds. I just hope they can live up to it with Alien Covenant and answer our questions before setting up new ones. And with that said, that brings this franchise to a close for now. Until next time, bye!
And the moral of today's story is...